I just wanted to wave at everyone.
My name is Tracy Metz. I'm the host of the live talk show and digital magazine Stadsleven, City Life. Stadsleven is about urban issues, which are increasingly urgent and relevant as over 50% of the world's population now lives in cities. This interview is part of the video series Great Urban Thinkers. For this series, I've spoken with, among others, Saskia Sassen, Richard Sennett, and Benjamin Barber. Today I'm talking with Bruce Katz, who is a scholar at the Brookings Institution in Washington, D.C., and co-author of the book The Metropolitan Revolution. Welcome, Bruce Katz of the Brookings Institution. Welcome to Stadsleven. Thank you for joining us.
Well, thanks for having me.
There's been quite a lot said about the conflict between the sanctuary cities, as they call themselves, and Trump, who has threatened to cut back federal funding for cities who don't go along with his policy of actively tracking down illegal immigrants. Where do you see this conflict leading?
Well, I think there's been an enormous amount of rhetoric. It's been incredibly heated. At the end of the day, the United States is still a nation of laws, and our national government cannot coerce cities to do these kinds of hunts house to house. So I'm not sure that we're really going to see the kind of aggressive action by the new Trump administration against cities. And I think increasingly what we're going to see is a recognition is that cities have become the engines of our national economy. They sit at the centers of global trade and investment, and they're the vanguard for enormous progress on a lot of issues like infrastructure that this administration cares about deeply. If you listen to Trump and he talks about rebuilding America, making America great again, where that's going to happen, frankly, is in many of our major cities and metropolitan areas. So we're going to move from the campaign stage to the governing stage and a nation of laws and a nation of markets where cities are the driving force. I think we're going to see a different kind of balance in the months ahead.
That I read today that I think 278 climate scientists have written Trump an open letter. Did you see that? Saying that he should be more aware that taking action on climate change is a business opportunity.
You know, I put a lot of faith into California, New York being able to create markets and then for global capital to basically begin to invest at scale, you know, in energy efficiency and transition to renewable energy. And
even with the White House saying that they don't believe in this?
Doesn't matter.
Wow.
It's about market returns, and
wow.
I think we've already begun to cross the Rubicon about getting the returns on investment you need to get.
Yeah, in renewable energy certainly. Although the Dutch have a bad track record in that, but
I mean, one thing that just happened in the election is Los Angeles just voted $120 billion to build out their transit system. That's one city and county in the United States, $120 billion. That's where things are going.
Because now already cities generate 80% of America's gross national product. So Trump must be sensitive to that business argument.
Well, if you take all of our metropolitan areas together, the cities and their suburbs, and even some of the rural hinterlands together, they're 84% of our population. They're 91% of our GDP. Only 9% of our gross domestic product happens outside of our major metropolitan areas. 50% of people who live in rural areas actually live in our metropolitan areas because they've sprawled out so long, or so much, they've taken into the rural commuters and rural counties. So I think we're actually a network of metropolitan areas, not a union of states, which is just a political artifice. And if you're talking about the economy and you're talking about solving issues, these are the places you need to work with.
And how is that affecting the relationship between cities and state and national governments? Is that even a relevant category anymore?
Well, I think most countries tend to think about themselves in terms of the relationship between governments. I mean, the U.S. is a federal republic. We talk about federalism. our federal government does this, our state government does that, and cities and metropolitan areas do other things. At the end of the day, the federal government is just a government. States are just governments. Cities are networks. Cities are networks of public leaders, corporate, civic, university, environmental. That's why they're so powerful. They can't be hijacked by partisanship. They can't be hijacked by ideological division, because what everyone wants to do at the city and metropolitan level is make their place better, make it more prosperous, make it work for more people. So that kind of affirmative energy drives the United States forward at a time when our federal and state leaders tend to go on frolics and detours. So I think our power resides at the local and metropolitan level in the United States, and we're about to find out how resilient we are. There will be harm from this new administration. People will be hurt by the scale back of the safety net. But going forward, new localism, the Metropolitan Revolution, I think will be the order of the day in the United States.
New localism is the title of the book you're working on now. When I heard that title, it made me a little suspicious because it sounds like a retrenchment back into the introvert, the local, Trump's more anti-urban attitude. But you probably mean something different by the new localism.
Well, what I really mean is for cities and metropolitan areas to take what is clearly their market power, their market relevance, the fact that they are the drivers of the national economy and state economies, and have that convert into both political power, but actually pragmatic action. Investment in children, investment in infrastructure, moving the innovative economy forward, since it's all located essentially in the cores of our American cities. So new localism is really a plan for action. And I think it reflects both the way the economy works today, very networked oriented, revaluing these areas of co-location and concentration, and reflects where the positive energy is. You know, we know what Trump is against. Cities are for things. They really are future-oriented, not about preserving or protecting.
I didn't expect you to be so optimistic, Bruce.
Well, you know, you've got to be an optimist during a period like this. And more importantly, you have to be a problem solver. You have to confront to ensure that the scale back of the national government does not harm many of the most disadvantaged people in our country. But then you have to move forward. And I think for the last, 15 or 20 years, what has happened in the United States during a time of federal gridlock, now we're about to have federal activism, but for a long time our national government didn't do anything, is cities filled the vacuum. And now we're about to see that on steroids.
It's an exciting time. In that sense, I am looking forward to it. And I will follow your work with pleasure and interest. And I thank you very much for joining us on Stadsleven. Bruce Katz.
Thank you for having me. Take care.
You can see the entire series of video interviews, Great Urban Thinkers, on the web magazine www.stadslevenamsterdam.nl.